Well, good morning. My name is Jessica, one of the pastors at Twin Lakes, and as always, it's great to join you for today's daily video Devo. As many of you know, a few months back, my family and I, we took a trip to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and you know this because I've shared about it before in a daily video Devo. We are 2 for 2 for hurricanes when it comes to going to Puerto Vallarta in October. And oddly enough, we're planning to go back this October, so we'll see what happens. But we experienced a hurricane when we were there a few months back. And we knew the storm was coming, and so we got ready, right? Like, we pulled things off the balcony, we got the big glass tabletop off of the balcony and tried to make sure there was nothing there that would blow away. And then we closed the door, locked it, and waited to watch the storm come in. And man, did it come in. The winds kicked up. But right near the beginning of that storm, as everything was getting a little bit more chaotic, this dragonfly came and it landed and it stuck itself really tightly to the screen door. And it stayed there and it stayed there and it stayed there. And this is a hurricane, right? Like, we could hear glass shattering. We could hear tree limbs falling. We could hear tin roof pieces flapping in the wind. And yet all during that entire storm that we were sitting watching, the dragonfly stayed stuck to that screen door. And when we decided to go to bed, I was like, hey Drew, I wonder if this dragonfly is going to be here in the morning. Do you think it's going to stay here all night? And so when I got up the next morning, one of the first things I did was to check to see if the dragonfly was there. And you know what? It was still there. The storm had calmed down. It was actually a very beautiful morning, but there the dragonfly was, still hanging on to that screen door. And a little bit later in the morning, it flew away, went on its way. But I got to thinking about that dragonfly and admiring him, because when the wind started to pick up, that dragonfly found something secure and clung tightly to it with all his might. And only when the storm was over did he move on. And that got me thinking about myself. Like, what about me? When the storms of life come and everything is chaotic, when the sea is crazy and the wind is blowing, am I spinning with that world around me, or am I holding tightly to something that will provide safety and security in the midst of that storm? And the Bible talks a lot about God being a refuge, a rock, and sometimes a fortress. Check out these verses. Psalm 62:2 says, "Truly he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken." Psalm 71:3 says, "Be my rock of refuge, to which I can always go. Give the command to save me, for you are my rock and my fortress." And Psalm 95 reads, "Come, let us sing for joy to the Lord. Let us shout aloud to the rock of our salvation." And all three of these verses, they tell us that God is our rock. He's our refuge. He's our fortress. He is where we can turn when life gets chaotic, when the storms come. He's like the dragonfly clung to the screen door. We can cling to God, who will hold us and securely keep us in the midst of life's storms. I don't know what you have going on in your life right now. Maybe it's a bluebird day and everything is looking up and you're like, man, life is awesome. Maybe it's the morning after a storm and you're kind of recovering, you're in recovery mode, it's looking beautiful, but you're a little weary from the storm that has just passed. Or maybe you're in the thick of it right now. Maybe there's a disease that's been diagnosed, or the death of a loved one, or just unexpected, difficult circumstances in your life. Whatever you have going on, cling to God. Find refuge and strength in God, our rock and our fortress, who will guard you and keep you safe no matter the circumstances in your life. I hope that the story of the dragonfly encourages you today. And I hope that no matter the circumstances in your life, that you find security in God and in his provision and protection. Have a great day.